February, and we're winding down the week on the Sportsline Podcast here on the CHCH News podcast site. I'm Bubba O'Neill. Our focus, athletes, executives, officials, teams, and broadcasters who hail from Southern Ontario and are making names for themselves. Today's guest, an influencer who's improving the lives of students and local residents from the university level. Well, at the core, she's a sports fan and appreciates athletes at all levels. This honors student from the University of Guelph has had a lifelong interest in health and fitness, and at one time was a competitive runner along with being a lifeguard and swimming instructor. Now, with that said, Heidi O'Brien has a passion for sharing her experience and knowledge to others, and for over 2 decades, she's led the way as the instructional programs coordinator at McMaster University. So let's bring in Heidi. Thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to have you in here.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Bubba. It's wonderful.
Well, really I tell you, what you do to me, it's like a million things, it looks like to me over the years. And obviously it starts with a passion of being an athlete yourself and doing things and being active.
Absolutely. I've always been involved in sports from a very young age. Our whole family was very active. My mom was actually a phys ed teacher. Mm-hmm. And so we played competitive sports in high school. Mm-hmm. I didn't really make it for the university varsity side of things, but I've always carried on throughout my life, mm-hmm. participating in different sports and, like I say, running, cycling, golfing, skiing, you name it. So I've been able to very fortunately keep up with most of those things as I've gotten older.
Is it just a passion, just a love, or being involved? What is it?
100%. I just love being active. I find it a really great stress reliever for myself. It makes me feel good. It makes me handle other things in life better. By keeping myself fit, it makes me stronger for my 2 granddaughters, mm-hmm. Which is really, really nice. Mm-hmm. So I just feel like it makes me overall feel better, sleep better, all those things. Yeah.
Well, I've heard from one of the people that know you very well say that it keeps you cool, keeps you being really cool.
Oh.
Would you agree?
Maybe, I don't know.
It keeps you in touch with the young ones?
Keeps me in touch with the young ones. Well, and certainly working at the university, mm-hmm. I am involved with all the young people, and we really do have a great relationship. I call many of them close friends. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of fun at that location, no question.
Is there a favorite sport of yours?
Favorite sport? You know what? There's so many that I really love. I mean, I love cycling. I do a lot of cycling in the summer, mm-hmm. part of a women's cycling group. I've done cycling trips, but I also love to golf, mm-hmm. And I love to downhill ski. Mm-hmm. Also a passion. And just general fitness.
I've seen some pictures from Europe.
Oh, yes. Several ski trips to Europe, Austria, mm-hmm. and France. Those were amazing. Those are the first times. Those are all within the last 10 years that I did mm-hmm. those trips. A lot of fun. My skiing has improved because of what I do at McMaster, mm-hmm. As a fitness coordinator as well. Mm-hmm. Just doing those strength. I've gotten into more strength training, which, of course, helps me out in all those other areas as well.
It's funny that you bring up the word strength training, because I think of what you do in your department, but at McMaster, it's just a whole bevy. Like you have, I think of like Dr. Levy, like mm-hmm. Someone just at the highest level, spent so many years with the Tiger Cats. But your department, in terms of athletics, whether it be recreational or for the individual teams, it's a wide family. Most
definitely. We have so many staff, and we have probably the biggest number of student staff in our department across the university, which is a great employment opportunity for many young people who are interested in getting into that field down the road after they graduate. But we have, honestly, my programs range from yoga and Pilates through to Latin dance and ballroom dance to martial arts, fencing, karate, Muay Thai, things like that. Plus, of course, all our group fitness classes and our group cycling classes. And then you have the athletics side. So I'm strictly recreation. The athletics side is huge, many staff overseeing all our teams and all the competitions and things that go on there.
So I will ask you the broadest question that I will ask you in our conversation.
Okay.
What is an instructional programs coordinator?
So, as an instructional programs coordinator, I go basically from the beginning. I will hire somebody. So, if I need a yoga instructor, for example, generally speaking, most people come to me first and reach out to me and say, hey, I've got these qualifications. Do you have a spot for me on your staff? So, and that covers all the areas of different types of things. So I would hire the staff. I do all the programming, so the scheduling each semester. So our courses run basically 10 classes per term. Each semester, people register, so I enter all that data into our registration portal as well. I also do updates to the website pertaining to those instructional programs. I look after payroll for the instructional programs.
Money.
The money part.
The money.
And basically, I make sure the studios are in good shape. I've been known to sweep a studio to make sure it's kept up there. So it's really very, very broad ranging. So for instructional programs. And the same goes, a number of years ago, I became the group fitness coordinator. So I also hire group fitness instructors. They have to be certified with a special certification. So sometimes we'll run a program. It's all done through CanFit Pro. So we'll run a training program right on site. So I set that. I basically facilitate that. That helps train instructors who are right there and then come and teach for us as well.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because, first of all, let's establish the fact that who you're speaking to and who you're reaching out to is not necessarily the specialist athlete that, the football player, the women's swimming expert. You're speaking to the mass student base that want to be involved in maybe taking some time out away from their books, their studies, and enjoying a recreation.
Yes, exactly. That is the message. So our programs are open to everyone, and the instructional classes in particular, almost all of them are offered at the beginner entry level. So if someone has never taken a hip-hop class in their life, but hey, they want to try it and just have some fun, they can sign up for this class, and they're going to be taught hip-hop. Most of our dance programs are taught by students who've had years of experience in dance. Maybe they've been involved in dance since they were 4 years old or whatnot. So they're working with peers, and they're going to learn. And they're open to anybody, students, staff, faculty, community, and everything's priced really, really reasonably. So that's the great part. They come in, they meet the instructor. There's a big group of them. They have the same group of people for 10 weeks. So that's what we do. And you can come in with no skill whatsoever. We offer some things at a little bit higher level. For example, we have an intermediate Latin dance program. Latin dance is quite popular. So we offer that at one up level because people will go beyond the beginner. They want to learn a little bit more, and maybe they're preparing for a special event or something like that where they want to show off those skills, right? So yeah, so that's why we just want to bring students in. You're right. Get them away from their phones, get them away from their books, get them moving.
Social media,
yes. Meeting people, just really taking some time to have some fun.
I think that's hilarious to think of the fact that there's someone out there that's maybe in their third or fourth year of being a doctor or trying to be a doctor, and they're like, hold on, I got to go for my Latin dance.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I guess that's mentally healthy too, isn't it?
Most definitely. Yeah. And our Latin dance, ballroom dance instructor, and we still have lots of people taking ballroom dance, which I think is terrific. The Latin and ballroom dance instructor, she's been there for longer than I have, I've been there 23 years. She's highly experienced and skilled. She loves working with these students as well. So yeah, that's the great thing. They sometimes will do social events outside of the class as well once they get those skills developed. So.
Are you finding that not only are you having your instructors, that there are also people that have taken courses that may be at an advanced level and they want to teach as well?
Yes, that's exactly how I will get some of my staff. So like the dancers, for example, or karate. My karate instructor, he's been there for over 35 years. He just got inducted into the Canadian Karate Hall of Fame. He has received all kinds of awards, but he wants to share that. So he teaches karate at a beginner level as well as intermediate and advanced. But he's been there wants to share that love of karate with the students. And it's really, can be very intense, but yeah, it's a great program.
It's a pay it forward, give it back kind of mentality, which I
Yes.
think is a wonderful thing. Tell me a little bit about the Pulse Fitness Center.
So the Pulse Fitness Center, we had a brand new center open up just over 2 years ago. It's spectacular, 3 floors. Bottom floor has all mostly machines. Second floor is all your cardio equipment. And then the third floor is where we have our studios. So we have a cycling studio with about 36 bikes. We have a beautiful big fitness class studio. When it's not being used for classes, it's also a stretching studio. Then we have another studio that is strictly just for stretching, hanging out. On the second floor, we also have a women's only studio, which has a stretching studio as well as another room specifically for equipment. We also have a huge climbing wall in there that's run by our outdoor rec department. Beautiful bouldering wall. So it's quite a large facility.
That is a big thing right now, I am noticing. And as a guy, sometimes we're like, hey, but women want their own thing, or programs tailored just to women. They just want to work out with women. And I think that's a comfort level.
Well, yes, it's a comfort level, and especially since we're trying to encourage more women to come into the facility, because there can be that sort of feeling that it's, very intense and tough. So if they can have their own little private space, really to get comfortable, and oftentimes that's where they'll start with their fitness journey. And then they'll feel more comfortable venturing out into the main part.
I guess I have to ask you this question then. What makes you feel good about your job?
Oh, so many things make me feel good about my job. So I'm also a fitness instructor. What I love is seeing people come back week to week. Once in a while, I'll get an email that says, I'm so glad you offer these programs, Heidi, because it's something I look forward to every week. Or I met this wonderful new friend in this class, and now we're like buddies that come every week. It's a feeling of belonging that it can provide, making people feel comfortable in a gym and realizing that you don't have to be a top-notch athlete. You don't have to have really a lot of skill at all to come in. We're there to help you learn. We can work with you. When I teach fitness classes, those are also open to everybody. And that's the thing. It's always this inclusiveness. Learn something. We will help and mentor you along the way. So.
It's a wonderful thing. And I guess in the end of the day, your love for what you're doing also goes right back to the fact that you have tried many sports throughout your entire life.
Yes.
And as you said, you're not an expert, but you like to try.
Yes, I do. I've done, when I first started working at Mac about 20-something years ago, they had an intramural team for some of the older staff. Well, and I had played a little bit of volleyball in high school, but I grew up in a really small town where as long as you showed up, you made the team. So I was able to play volleyball at that level. But that's what I went out and did, and I joined this team just for fun because that's exactly what it was. And so.
A little bit with the lifeguard thing there too.
Oh,
what was that all about?
Oh, that was way back in high school, but that was an area that I have always been a swimmer. I did some bit of competitive swimming just in elementary and high school. And which served me well because I did do some triathlons, so I'm a pretty strong swimmer, but not competitively in university or anything. And then, sorry, where are we going with that one? That
was just talking about being a lifeguard.
Yeah, the lifeguard. So that was a great way I learned to be a lifeguard in high school. So then I worked with children and taught swimming lessons. I did have a family cottage all my life, so we all learned to swim very young. So it was a great way to make money. There was only one pool in the entire town. So that seemed like a great way to share those skills.
Why I ask that is because the lifeguard leads me into safety. And of course, when there's athletic things going on, whether it be the dancing, the boxing, the karate, all of it, there needs to be an element of feeling safe. And if something does happen, you guys have all of this covered.
We do. All our staff, first of all, have to be standard first aid certified. And we make sure they continue to recert. They also do a lot of online training, also mandatory before they begin teaching. We review on-site features where things are. Where's the AED? What are you going to do if somebody faints in your class? Do you know who to call? So they get all that with them on an individual level when I hire a staff person as well. Plus there's a whole manual, of course, on all the things, what to do. If someone gets a bleeding nose, there's special protocol around handling blood and bodily fluids kind of thing. So they all get that training as well. So we make sure that they know and they get reminded, kind of just to remind themselves, are you prepared for an emergency? On campus, we have something called EFIRT, Emergency First Response Team. They're fantastic. So if we do have sort of a more important, more of an emergency, someone's fainting or they've had an injury with the weights, we can easily call EFIRT, and they are there literally within minutes, usually, during the school year.
Again, that's a great feeling. And I think I need to also expand the fact that, and I know we've kind of said that, this is a lot for students and stuff like that, that people in the community, like you could be like myself or anyone else that works here, as long as you live in the community, you can be a part of this.
100%. So we have different price sets. So there's different ways you can access. For example, instructional programs are a little unique. We have what's called a non-member rate. So if you just want to come to the university and take ballroom dance, for example, you can. You just pay a little bit more. They're still very, very reasonable. All the courses have different fees because some of them are an hour, some are an hour and a half, some are once a week, some are twice a week, etc. But that's so anything from just coming in once a week as a non-member. We also have something called a base membership. So you can purchase a base membership to the facility, which will allow you to use our pool, our squash courts, our indoor track. We have a spectacular new indoor track that just opened up in January. If you purchase a base membership, then it gives you member rates on all those instructional programs. So for example, 10 yoga classes, $30. Very, very, very reasonable. 10 dance classes by a professional instructor, $57. So as a member, so for someone, say they want to come in, they do want to use the pool, they want to play squash a couple times a week, they can pay a base rate. If they want to add on to that, so there's lots of options, if they want to add on and use our Pulse facility, then that's an additional fee. It's $24 a month that they can add on. So we have community members, they're not remotely interested in coming to the Pulse, or they don't want to even use the pool or anything. They just want to take a class. So they can. Or they can get that base membership. So maybe I know a lot of people who do that as well. They want to swim twice a week, but they also want to do Pilates. And then the people who want to get into the Pulse as well. So there's multiple levels. Anybody can come.
I love that. I think that, and I think not enough people actually know that, because you can say, well, they have this, they offer this at McMaster, like, oh, that's for the students.
You're right.
I know there's a lot of people that would say that, but it's like, no, this is for the community abroad, and that Hamilton and Dundas and Ancaster should be extremely proud to have such a, long before the David Braley Center, as you well know, the facilities were good. But what they have now and what they've built over the last decade is you walk in there. I've said this 1,000 times to people. You walk in that David Braley facility and you're like, whoa.
Yes.
Like you're thinking you're at a U.S. college or some of these. I've seen some of them as well too. And you're matching right up with some of these facilities and the things that you can offer to the public.
Right. Yes.
It's amazing.
It's we started out with the Ivor Wynn and those original gyms and whatnot. It just kept expanding. Many years ago, we had an initial expansion, and then this one that's came into fruition 2 years ago with this Pulse was a huge addition. Very, very big. So
obviously, McMaster is number one, but in fairness, are we looking at like other schools? Are we looking at Brock? Are we looking? Are other universities offering these kinds of programs as well?
Yeah, most definitely. We have sometimes in the past traveled to get an idea of what's going on in terms of offerings. We can look. Each university has things set up slightly differently. They'll have, coordinators who look after different areas. So mine might be unique in that I do instructional programs and group fitness. Somebody else at another university might do programs and camps. So we have a massive camps program. That's a whole job all on its own. We have intramural program. Also huge. So we have someone who oversees intramurals. We have our whole outdoor recreation program. So this is all just the recreation side of things. So yeah, other universities, I know, I think University of Guelph had a big new fitness facility put on.
Waterloo, not long ago,
Waterloo,
I noticed.
Yes, and we have people actually coming and looking at our facilities to get an idea. They're generally dealing with the management level, so I'm not at the management level, so they're dealing with those upper levels who are taking them around and discussing all those things.
You've obviously done a great job I think to do anything nowadays for 2 decades. I mean, obviously you've done a great job, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And congratulations on the growth of your programs, because that's exceptional, and the fact that you are reaching not just students, but as I said, people in the community. But you're also a mom. You're also a mom.
I am
a mom of 3 daughters. All right.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
I haven't met all of your daughters, but I have met one.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about this one?
Emily?
This one right now.
Oh,
Who? Tell me a little bit about this one.
Emily.
Who's been a guest right here on the Sportsline Podcast?
She has, and she's the one who sent you the little blurb that Inside McMaster did for me to highlight. Yes, that is my daughter, Emily. She is the middle one of 3, and she is just a gem, I have to say. She went through an experience in her 20s whereby she found herself in some trouble. She has a company called Comeback Snacks, which you're welcome to look into. But she came back from a very challenging situation, and fortunately, like, she and I are extremely close. I was able to support her through that. And she's come out of that, and she has developed this company, Comeback Snacks, who cater to trying to improve the lives of people who have been incarcerated. They try to hire people who have been incarcerated. They just started a brand new online program, comebackcatalyst.ca, which is an online learning program, helping people who've been incarcerated get back on their feet, try to develop their own business ideas. It's very, very new. It's just starting. So Emily was always very active. She was always a go-getter. She had her own little job when she was in grade 6 and toting little newspaper route, and then she worked at McDonald's, and then she's always been an entrepreneur. So yeah, she's doing great.
Well, she has an energy about her from the first time I met her and didn't know her story. And I was like, this girl's a live wire, man, right? And then to learn her story, and as you well know, as you said, it was a dark time. There were some dark days for her. And where she's come back from, and I know we said the phrase I might have said the phrase pay it forward.
Yes.
Like, what an example. Like, I'm blown away by it. And I've seen her on CBC and the City and CHCH and everywhere, spreading the good word of what she's done.
Yes.
And what she's doing is not only successful, but it's like a second chance almost. And like you said, the comeback, and then I remember her always saying to me, like even on the podcast, everybody loves a good comeback. And it's true.
Yes, a good comeback and second chances, and kind of around the idea that we've all made mistakes of some form or other in our lives. Some are bigger mistakes than others, but you don't want to have to be judged for the rest of your life because of some error you made in judgment at some point in your life, or something happened, that there's room to come back and improve and be a better person coming out of that. And that is 100%. Like, she believes in that so strongly. She's got a really big heart, and she really believes in helping people make that change. And even when, after what had happened and before she was incarcerated, she already knew that she wanted to make a difference going there. So, and it was something, she was going to make the best of that situation no matter what, and come out of there and do something with it, which she did.
I'm sure you're proud of and happy and just love all 3 of your daughters, but that's an incredible story. Mm-hmm. From knowing Emily a little bit, I can kind of understand where you come from. Like what's the saying about the apple in the tree not falling too far off? Like, I mean, even some of the facial expressions and whatever.
Yeah.
Like, Heidi, it's been outstanding, and congratulations for all what you do at McMaster.
Thank you.
You're making a difference out in the community, as Emily is as well too, and I think that's great. I think it's great because it's kind of a sporting thing and sports and recreation. So we were really happy to have you on here, and I hope everyone that's out there listening to Sportsline Podcast that are especially in this area get involved. So thank you for letting everyone know what's going on.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for letting me share the story of McMaster, because you were very correct. It is not just for students. We have many, many non-students coming, and I love to meet all of them. So.
Anything new coming down the line, let us know.
Okay, we'll have spring programs kicking in from May, June.
Right on. There you go, folks. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. That's your Sportsline Podcast for the day. And as you've just seen and heard, we love talking sports and recreation. If you do know of an athlete, team, or event that deserves this spotlight, this podcast want to hear from you. Now, do us a favor. Hit that thumbs up, like, and share button, as it really helps us out. And be sure to subscribe, because you'll always get the latest and greatest edition. Also, be sure to check out the other fine podcasts here on CHCH for the talented folks that make the Sportsline Podcast possible. Thank you so very much. I mean that. We'll see you next week.